Hey everyone, my name is Mustu, and today we are going to do Cinema 4D animation and then export the keyframe into the new Element 3D plugin from Video Copilot to make an animations like this, for example. What I did here was I animated this object in Cinema, a dynamic animation. I baked the keyframes and I then imported the animation data and the objects, in this case the capsule and the ground, into After Effects and make an arrangement there with both. So I show you now how to do that, and actually this expands the possibilities of this plugin that I think is really nice. As you can see here, this is live. This is a 3D object, and we have depth of field, we have camera movement, and I really like this to have an After Effects, because for me as a 3D animator, I have always to wait to render the pictures, to render the objects and sequences, and then put it into After Effects. And there I have not the possibility to change the camera angle anymore. And I'm just speaking about simple animations. And this plugin is able to do this simple animations very, very well, as you will see in a couple of moments. And what I really like is I have a possibility to have depth of field with camera movement and relighting and so on. And I really like this plugin right from the beginning. And this is just version 1. And yeah, okay, let's begin doing some animation in Cinema. So let's set up a little scene here. We go to MoGraph text, hit 1, different font. I take this Graublau, bold, some caps filled, and maybe a little bit more depth. 40 would be good. Okay, now I have my object. I then go to make it a polygonal object, and again, this is an extrude object. No, not again. Okay, now we have our polygonal object. Select all the polygons to connect it to one object. Right mouse button and connect object and delete. Now we have one object. Okay, delete the rest. One also. Oh, wait a minute. As you can see, the center, the axis is not centered, and we want to have this axis in the center. So we go to Mesh, Axis Center, and just execute. I'm using Cinema Release 13, and but you can find, I think, you can find in earlier versions this this parameters of this window under a different menu. Well, actually, I don't remember right now, but anyway. So we have now our axis centered, and we add some ground, scale a little bit, and hit this button to have it a polygonal object, name it ground. Oops, ground. And now create a material for one, name it 1, and name this round. I just prepare these materials for Element 3D. I don't use this to texture it here in Cinema. But it would be cool for future releases if we can get the textures also out of from Cinema to the Element 3D, but later. So now I lift the one a little bit up like this. Oh, I delete the selection text, And under tags, I go to simulation, Richard Verdi, and the same with the ground, but in this case, simulation, collider. So now I have my animation. Okay. Okay, the one is a little bit sliding here. I actually don't want that. I actually don't like this. So I select both of the tags, and the friction should be around 60. Okay. Also, I go to the global dynamic settings, hit the keys Control or Command D, and where we have the project settings, and this is the dynamic tab, and under general you can find the timescale. This is 100 by default. But what I want to do now is I want to set it up to 160, and this makes this animation more realistic in my opinion. Okay, I like this. I think I leave it like this, I mean. So, okay, what I'm going to do now is I want to build a slow-mo in. So, slow motion. This is, oh, wait a minute, it's not, I think it's going through the ground. Ah, okay. Okay, when in expert, I will set the steps per frame to, let's say, 15. Okay, this changes the animation, but the one is not going through the ground anymore. I hope, yeah, no, this is better. Okay, keep this in mind that sometimes the objects are going into each other, and when you go to the expert tab and changes the stats per frame, raise it a little bit up, it's okay. Okay, it changes my animation, and I will go to this tab from the 1 and collision, and maybe put the bounce about 80. Yeah, why not? Okay, now go back to Command D, to Dynamics, General, Timescale, and I step forward here frame by frame, look where the one hits the ground. Okay, like here, make a key, and let's step a little bit forward, like 3 frames, and pull it down to 30. And now look what happens. I create some bullet time. Okay, here is okay. Keyframe. And 160 again. Keyframe. Okay. I like this. Okay, now. As we are happy with our animation, I go to the timeline window. We go to the timeline window, and we now put the 1 inside of the timeline window. We have it here. Select the 1, go to function, and then we have this option bake objects. And oh, wait a minute. I will see how long the animation actually is. Okay, let's give it about 70 frames. Okay, 70 frames. Go to window, timeline, select the object. This has to be baked. Go to function and bake objects. So I create a copy. I have position and rotation. That's all what I want, and I don't need this parameter. 70. Okay. Now we have our keyframes. As you can see here, looks pretty good. Okay, so I don't need this original one anymore. Also, I don't need this dynamic text at the ground anymore. We'll call it 1. This is really nice. Even the bullet time is baked. Cool. All right. So now, very important, we select our animated object again. We go to tag, and under Cinema 4D tags we find this external composition tag. Just leave these settings by default. This is important when we export our animation. And this is what we're going to do now. We go to this little button here, render settings. At the beginning we say, well, we live in Europe. I live in Europe here, and I make it 25 frames per second from 0 to 70. You have to set it up in order to get your animation exported properly. And also I like to work in this kind of format, in HD or semi-HD in this case. Now we are done here. Now we go to save. And we put some text in here, name it maybe 1, doesn't matter. Actually, we don't need this exported sequence here. We have no sequence because nothing will be rendered, but Cinema wants to have some text inside this field. Sorry, and we go to save, After Effects, and push this button. Important. This button is very important. Okay, save project file. I call this scene 1. And OK. Yes, replace. And now we have exported our keyframes. We can right jump to After Effects. Oh, wait a minute, I will add a camera. And yes, when I have a camera also in After Effects, again, I go to render settings. I save a project, scene 1, one scene, okay. Right, now I have a camera also included. So we go to After Effects. I'll just close this project here. This is the German version, but doesn't matter. The parameters are the same. I make double click, import where it is, and now we have our scene. This is what Cinema wanted to have, you know, this the sequence, but actually we don't have a sequence, so we can delete it. What I'm interested in is this here. Oh, 2 cameras, that's interesting. I don't have 2 cameras here. 1 camera. Okay, right. Doesn't matter. Okay, so which one is the one now? It doesn't matter, I delete one. Okay. So now we have our null object that is animated, and these keyframes here, the position and the rotation, we don't need this here. We just need position and rotation. Oops. Wait a sec. Yeah. What is this? Why is it still there? Okay. Okay, position, and Drehung means rotation. So, and I wanted to copy this keyframes to the element 3D object. Okay, we go back to Cinema, and let's close this. And what I'm going to do now is I delete the camera and the ground and this tag also. And now also this material, I just have one material, and I save this as a Cinema 4D file with just one object. Okay, name it 1, save, replace, undo that sometime, and delete this one just to have a ground, delete this too, and save it under ground. Now we have our 2 Cinema 4D files that are ready to import into After Effects. So now create a new solid and name it element 3D. Go to effect settings, effect element, you can find a video Copilot element. And now scene setup, import Cinema 4D. This is the one. Oh, it's we have to flip it on the x-axis, okay. And again, import ground. Here's our ground. We can flip it as well, it doesn't matter here. Okay. Now, very important. One is is connected with group 1 and the ground should be connected to group 2. We have to use 2 groups here. This is very important. Okay, so I don't texture it now, I will texture it later. And okay, here's our scene. Just switch the camera off. And what I'm going to do first is I go to group 2 and reposition the ground plane because it's not at the 0 point. Because here in Cinema you can see that the ground is at the 0 location. So I go to this field and this field, make it 0. Now it is at the location where it should be, and in particle look I put in 50 to resize it. Okay. Now open up the effect parameters of element, and group 1 is our model, the 1, and we concentrate on the particle replicator. And we want to animate position X, Y, and Z and the rotation. This is what we're gonna do now. So I just make it a little bit bigger here, put it above. Now we have position X, Y, and Z. By hitting the key U, you got just the animated keyframes whistle. So what I'm going to do now is I hold down the Alt or Option key and click on the stopwatch. And I click on position, X, Y, and Z, and rotation, X, Y, Z. Now, I start with position Z. I grab this lasso here and put it to the position Z here. Then I grab this lasso and position it not here or here, but on the word. Now we have both parameters here and also the Z values. Now I'm doing the same with X, Y rotation and Z rotation. Okay, we can just have a look. Oops. Oh man, again. So let's check it out. Okay, something's wrong here. It's because the 1 is way too big, and it's because element 3D is importing the 3D object in its own size, and I hope in future releases this is it will be changed because it's we have a little bit more work to do here. Also, how to figure out which is the correct size? Well, actually, when the 1 here hits the ground at around frame 11 or 12, let's check it out in Cinema. Open up the one scene. Okay, it's okay. I'm working with 30 frames per second in the animation. Wait a minute. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay, so when the 1 hits the ground, like here, I go to group 1, particle look, and just resize it until it fits. Oh, I have to go to the camera and delete all the keyframes, otherwise I have some camera movement I don't want now. Okay, again. Check it. I think it starts at 11. Oh wait, no, this is right, 12. Okay, so go back to size. I think that is good. Okay, let's see the animation. Okay, and actually this is pretty much it. Now we have imported our Cinema 4D keyframed animation right into After Effects inside the plugin Element 3D. And now we can move the camera around and turn on motion blur, and turn on depth of field, and this is really nice. Now we can start playing. You know, like, I don't know, change the camera perspective and turn on depth of field. Depth of field on. And let's put in 50 here. And okay, where it is? Where is it? You know, in this case, Element 3D has a little bit of help. I select it, I go to render settings, and there's this depth of field option called focus indicator. And if I now go back to my camera and this means focus distance, this goes a little bit faster, and I will start with 500. Okay, here. Everything that is red is sharp, as you can see. Do you see the ground here? This is where my point of view is, my focus point. So let's have it like this. And this is also, it looks really nice. You can fake surface scattering here, subsurface scattering. This is cool. All right, so okay, go back to the Element 3D settings, pixel blur, and yeah, when we can start doing some texturing here and put some background on it, put some different lightings on it, and this is really nice. It's really cool. Okay, it's a little bit slower then, but doesn't matter. Also, if I turn on motion blur, and this is a little bug I found. If I turn on motion blur now with my keyframes, without keyframes it works quite well, but if I have some keyframes here and this amount, my OpenGL cards or the OpenGL driver starts to alert me. So I just check it now. Maybe it works. Okay. Oh, I mean this here. All right, so let's check it. Okay, takes a while. I have an at this time. Very good. As you can see, we have some an issue here. The ones doesn't look good animated here. We have a rotation in it, and this is why. As you can see here, I select all the rotation keyframes and go into the function curve editor. Look at this, the keyframes are shifted. And I don't know why. Maybe this is an export bug of Cinema. And actually, I don't know why it does this. This looks good, this looks also good, but these keyframes are shifted. It's strange. Well, we can solve this by simply selecting the keyframes, hold down the shift key, and then put it around here. Oh, wait a minute. Zoom in. Yeah, now it should be better. This is strange. That happens from time to time. If you get the same results with your tests or animation, go to the function curve editor in After Effects and rearrange the keyframes. It's I don't know where this bug come from. Okay. Okay, one last thing. In order to get this animation imported to After Effects, you of course need this plugin, the Cinema 4D AE plugin. I mean Cinema 4D AE plugin. And or maybe this too. You can find them in your Cinema 4D folder, or at least on the homepage of Cinema 4D under the support button. Yeah. Okay, folks, that's pretty much it. I wish you nice animation time, and yeah, see you later. Have fun.